Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel, Diverse Goddess. It's Hannah, and in today's video I'm going to be talking about why the golden child would disrespect the scapegoat within a family dynamic. So keep watching. So in my last couple of videos, I have talked about what a golden child is within a narcissistic family dynamic, and I've even talked about some of the burdens and pain that a golden child can carry. So why then would the golden child also disrespect the scapegoat with everyone else? Well, for one, within a narcissistic family dynamic, the reality is that everyone is for themselves, or everyone is on their own, like every man for themselves type of thing. The scapegoat is actually really the only one who's for the family. Everyone else is just playing their part. So it's no different for the golden child. Since the golden child feels it's every man for themselves, the scapegoat becomes an easy target. Plus, it helps the golden child feel better about themselves. Since the golden child, since the beginning, has been told over and over that they are greater than and better than the scapegoated sibling, this feels good to them. And after a while, they start to believe that it is in fact true. So they start to develop a superiority complex towards the scapegoated sibling. And as long as the scapegoated sibling continues to be treated badly, this reaffirms to the golden child their own greatness and goodness. Because the narcissistic parent trains the golden child to see the scapegoated sibling a certain way, after a while they start to believe it to be true. Furthermore, all the privileges and all the praise that the golden child receives, they start to see it as something that they earn, that it's a reflection of they are indeed the best, or that they did indeed earn all of the rewards or praise or whatever it is. And they start to see the scapegoat as just not meeting the mark or not qualifying. So therefore, that's why they're being treated or mistreated, rather. It's kind of like in school. Like when you get an A in school, it's usually a reflection that you did the work, you got the right answer, whatever it is, and so therefore you got an A. And so if you don't get an A, it's usually a reflection of you didn't do the work, you didn't get the right answer, and whatnot. And so that's kind of how the golden child starts to see the scapegoated sibling. They stop seeing it as a mistreatment of the scapegoated child, and they start seeing it as, well, you're just not like me, you're not doing, you're not giving the right answers, you're not doing what you've been told. You're not meeting the mark, basically. And so that's how they start to see it. And so they start to see things through the eyes of the narcissistic parent. They will start treating the scapegoated child like everyone else. And this not only maintains a feeling of power they feel over this sibling, but they will also feel a sense of entitlement. And so in a lot of ways, they start thinking and acting like the narcissistic parent. Furthermore, when they disrespect the scapegoat with everyone else in the family, they actually gain respect of the family. Because everybody already treats the scapegoat badly, and the golden child just sort of falls in line with that same treatment. And so because they're doing what everyone else is doing, they are accepted and they are seen as doing the right thing. Because again, the scapegoat is the problem, the scapegoat is the issue, so they are just seen as doing what's right. The golden child's relationship with the scapegoated sibling won't always be transparent, meaning they won't always necessarily disrespect the scapegoat out in the open because they might be too good for that. So sometimes this too will be behind closed doors, or this too will also be hidden. And sometimes the golden child will actually pretend to be close with the scapegoated sibling just so they can spy on them or be a spy for the narcissistic parent. And so the scapegoat might confide in the golden child and thinking that they're close and that they're getting along and everything, and they might share feelings with them about what's going on in the family and things like that. And they will use that closeness to then betray them and then go tell the narcissistic parent, and they will kind of gang up on them that way. If the scapegoated sibling then tries to confront the golden child about all of this, the golden child will do what everyone else does. They will dismiss them, or they'll tell them that they're making things up, or it's not like that, or it was a joke and they didn't mean it, and that they think too much, or they're taking things too serious. But again, they will brush it off as no big deal. But even if the golden child tries to deny or dismiss the scapegoat, make no mistake that the golden child absolutely knows what they're doing. Much like the narcissistic parent who is doing these things intentionally, so is the golden child. And the golden child starts to feel a sense of boost, if you will, to their self-esteem to do so because, again, the golden child has a low self-esteem. But no matter how shitty the golden child might feel, they have a sense of reassurance or a sense of superiority because no matter how shitty they feel good knowing that the scapegoat is shittier than them. When they mistreat or disrespect the scapegoat, it's to deflect their own feelings and their own insecurity. And the golden child will oftentimes backstab the scapegoated child. Like I said, they will sometimes pretend to be close with the scapegoat, while they're also telling stories behind their back, just like the narcissistic parent. And even though oftentimes the golden child will be told by the narcissistic parent that the scapegoat is jealous of them, when in reality, the golden child is more likely to be jealous of the scapegoat. And they can be jealous of the scapegoat for many reasons. The golden child may be jealous of the scapegoat for many reasons. For one, they see the strength that the scapegoat has to stand up to the narcissistic parent. And furthermore, they also see or think that the scapegoat has less pressure and less burden than they do to please everyone or to perform. And so they feel that they don't have the pressure to be perfect all the time like they do. The golden child may also have a deep subconscious understanding that the scapegoat is actually not bad and that they're being treated badly because they actually are more evolved or more talented or whatever it is. And so if that's the case, the golden child feels, well, what does that say about them? As I've mentioned, the golden child oftentimes has a fear of feeling like a fraud. And so they might actually understand what's really going on. And like I said, they may be jealous of the scapegoat because they have a strength inside of them. And so they again look at themselves and it's like, well, what does that make them? And so that can also be going on as to why they mistreat the scapegoat with everyone else. Again, it's to deflect their insecurities. Another reason why the golden child may be jealous of the scapegoat, because the scapegoat may outshine them in one area or another. And because they're always told that they're better than the scapegoat or greater than the scapegoat, this doesn't sit well with them. They tend to have a cognitive dissonance because, for one, they're told that they're better than the scapegoat, but then they might see evidence to the contrary. And so they're always needing to put the scapegoat back in place. But the number one reason why the golden child would be jealous of the scapegoat is they are jealous of the freedom that they feel the scapegoat has to be themselves. Even if the scapegoat gets punished for that, or because the scapegoat refuses to conform, or they just don't know how to conform. But either way, the scapegoat is always just going to be themselves, unapologetically. And so the golden child is jealous of the freedom that they see in the scapegoat to be themselves. Again, they see that strength in them. Furthermore, the golden child sees the independence that the scapegoat has. Even if the independence that the scapegoat has is in some ways forced, because even if the scapegoat wanted to rely on others, in truth, no one is there for the scapegoat. So the scapegoat is really like sink or swim. You either sink or you swim. And so they're kind of forced to have to be on their own 2 feet. But whether it's forced or not, like I said, the golden child sees this independence, and they don't see that independence in them because the golden child is indeed dependent on everyone around them. Because in truth, the golden child may actually crave their own independence. But because they are so dependent on everyone around them heavily, and this was also trained in them or programmed in them to be dependent on others, as I said, this will cause or could cause jealousy in them because they see how independent the scapegoat is. And I have mentioned in other videos that the narcissistic parent will divide the children against each other. And one way they do this is through competition. And so they will train the golden child to be extremely competitive towards the scapegoated child within the family, especially if the scapegoat outshines them in any way. And so the golden child will always feel a sense of competition, and they will always feel that they have to be better than the scapegoat because they are terrified to not be the favored one. Because again, they're afraid of the consequences. And so when they mistreat or disrespect the scapegoat, again, they're just trying to keep them in their place. The golden child does not want to lose their role of being the favorite one. If they are not the favorite or winner over the scapegoat in the narcissistic parent's eyes, the golden child is actually afraid of becoming the scapegoat in real. So as I've mentioned, they always feel that pressure. And it's not really about outshining the scapegoat. Because in some areas they may never outshine the scapegoat. It's more about making sure that the narcissistic parent just sees them as the favorite. So it's more about how the narcissistic parent feels about them than it is really about outshining the scapegoat. So that is another reason why a golden child would mistreat and disrespect the scapegoat within the family. Because as long as they're mistreating the scapegoat along with everybody else, that actually keeps them in the golden position with the narcissistic parent. That keeps them in the lane of being the favorite. So as long as the narcissistic parent is continuing to praise them and not the scapegoat, that makes the golden child feel safe. And to the golden child, it doesn't matter as long as they are indeed getting praised. Like, it doesn't matter what they're getting praised for. They could be getting praised because they burp the loudest. And I kid you not, because I've experienced this myself. I've literally heard my mom tell my sister after she's burped, "That's my girl." And so as long as they are getting praised in general and not the scapegoat, and like I said, the scapegoat is not going to get acknowledged for anything anyway that they do well. So in truth, the golden child doesn't have a lot to worry about, but they feel that they always have a lot to worry about. And I'm pretty sure that the narcissistic parent embedded that into their psyche because the narcissistic parent gets their control from fear. So they keep the golden child in fear of falling from that pedestal. And so the golden child always wants the praise, even if the praise is kind of silly. Basically, what the golden child is looking for, they are just looking for reassurance that they are better than the scapegoat. And as long as the narcissistic parent is feeding that narrative, the golden child, like I said, feels safe. So mistreating and disrespecting the scapegoat is just their way of trying to secure their role. They want to make sure that the scapegoat stays in their place so they can secure their role and their place as the favorite. And as I mentioned, disrespecting the scapegoat is a surefire way of keeping their role secure. And lastly, the golden child may mistreat and disrespect the scapegoat because they may actually just not like the scapegoat in general. Because after a while, all the programming and all the training done by the narcissistic parent, it tends to take a toll on the golden child's psyche. And so after a while, they will indeed start to feel that the scapegoat is the reason for all the issues in the family. And so they may start to resent the scapegoat because, like I said, they've been groomed, they've been trained to see the scapegoat as the issue. And so when they start to believe that, they will start to dislike or even hate the scapegoat. And so it justifies why they are treating them badly. But to wrap up today's video, the golden child disrespects and mistreats the scapegoat with everyone else because, in a nutshell, it benefits them to do so. It makes them feel better about themselves, and it helps deflect all of their insecurities. It's easier to blame and mistreat the scapegoat than the narcissistic parent because it makes them feel that they have power over the scapegoated sibling, and they don't have power over the narcissistic parent because they are in fact dependent on the narcissistic parent. So they can't point the finger at the person that they're dependent on, so it's easier for them to point the finger at the scapegoat. They can't actually afford to lose the relationship with the narcissistic parent because of this dependence. And as I've mentioned, the scapegoat is the sacrifice of the family. So the golden child can sacrifice the relationship with the scapegoat as well, but not the narcissistic parent, because as I mentioned, they are too dependent on them. But on a deeper level, the golden child is doing all of this to secure their role within the family and to make sure that they stay safe, and so they're doing it out of survival. So on that note, I'm actually going to end today's video, and if you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them in the comment section below. And don't forget to subscribe, like, and turn on notifications. And I will see you in the next video. Bye!